Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I'm, of course, Nick McDaniel, and as always, I am joined by my man of iron.
Hey, folks. Sad to see those losses today, Nick. Just so sad to see those losses.
Yeah, man. It's real quick, I guess. I know a lot of people, the Virgil, Mike Jones, the whole gimmick,
The meat sauce mafia, the whole.
Yeah. Look, it was all entertaining in the end, right? It was all entertaining. Of course, Ole, most people obviously give him, like, he was that one of the original incarnation of the Four Horsemen. Is kind of his biggest thing, and a lot of people let it be lost that he was a pretty big influential power behind the scenes back in like the WCW early days. And it's I know he had a reputation as well, but it was cool to see like a good Tony Schiavone put out there that even with his reputation, that's out there about how hard he was, and he was a grumpy old man essentially. That even then, Tony could say like, look, he was a mentor. He was very much an influential person. It's kind of cool to see those type of things.
From what I've seen in the wrestling business, there are times where you need people like that.
Yeah, it's and maybe then, and times have changed, and I think a lot of people have to keep that in mind. Times are different because God knows we hear that enough. That's what I'm told enough. So I guess that's it's a different time. It was a different time.
Yes, I'm still trying to get rid of some of my dinosaur scales every day.
Right. Yeah. Well, look, I was gonna put this behind the paywall over on Patreon, YouTube. Some stuff that I wanted to talk about, but I figured we would just do it here. But look, we do put extra bonus stuff over there on patreon.com/tappedoutpod. The YouTube channel, of course, we always tell you, like, subscribe, turn your notifications on to get stuff early. Like, hey, you didn't probably know, the day we're recording, I dropped something today. Didn't even announce it, just dropped it. But if you'd had your notifications on, you would have known. But if you're listening to this the regularly scheduled part, then guess what? It dropped yesterday. So you would have known had you had your notifications on.
It was a paywall, you say?
No. I didn't drop it behind a paywall. This was actually out in front on our YouTube channel. I released the one of the camera angles of the Chip Day Terry Lawler match at Disruptor Pro.
Oh, nice.
Put that out there just so I wanted even more people to see it, just because it meant so much to us. Yeah,
you're talking about a mentor right there.
Yeah, man. So, but hey, let's jump in. Talk a little bit. Look, we were going to talk WWE stuff, and then of course yesterday, this wasn't even in our notes originally, but they have the Q4 call.
Oh.
Put a little information out there. Look, this isn't a full blown topic if you're curious, but there were things in there that I was like, dude, I mean, look, revenues up, profits up, blah blah blah, all that kind of crazy stuff.
Attendance. Holy crap! Did you see that attendance number? 34%.
Impressive.
That's a third. That's a third.
Yeah, it's up 30. I mean, yeah, that's pretty impressive. That alone shows you, I think, and that's one of the true metrics of when you're firing on all cylinders is, it's one thing like ratings. Ratings matter, and I'm not saying they don't matter, because obviously they're even up a little bit. But to me, ratings are kind of a lazy number to metric, and what I mean by that, it's one thing to say, like, I'll sit on my couch at home and watch TV and watch the product. That doesn't, but to get people to buy tickets, leave their home, come to an event, like get in the building, go to their seats and spend money on concessions and all that kind of stuff that comes with it. When you're up there, I think that's a real indicator of the businesses picking up. That's so.
Oh yeah. And you look, dude, right now in a post-COVID environment, when you're looking at things and you got a product that's making people want to come out more to go see it, you're doing something right. So
yeah.
God, sorry folks, I've got another late winter temperature change cold, so hopefully we'll ride this one out and I'll drink more Tussin and we'll get through it all again.
Absolutely.
Our regular listeners know all about this.
Yep, it happens to both of us at this time of year. The other thing that came up that I found interesting is the talks. Well, I'm going to go out of order because I want to end on another one. Apparently, we've quietly learned that MLW looks like they got like a $20 million settlement
They did real good, apparently.
Did they? I don't know. I mean, like, that's the crazy thing. You start hearing those numbers, like, did they do well? I'm like, well, time will tell. But look, $20 million is $20 million. Like we used to have a joke when we were teenagers, like $20 is $20. Well,
Yeah.
20 million is 20 million. But look, I mean, they released it out when they were talking about their legal fees, and their legal fees were like 30 something million dollars. But then, of course, real quietly, it's like, with 20 million of it expected, or believed to be the MLW lawsuit kind of thing. I'm like, oh shit, so that was, all right.
Court did okay for himself on that, I guess.
Yeah, good job. Maybe that's why we're seeing a little bit of a resurgence, with MLW, I guess. But then the other one,
if y'all need a staff writer or just some kind of like follow you around, I can be bought for a very reasonable price right now.
Yeah. The other stuff that came out is we didn't get the definitive answer about, because we're still asking the question, like, hey, if Raw's up in October, like October 1, like, where's it going to air for 3 months? Like, we're still asking that before it goes to Netflix. First question, the more and more I wonder, why did this happen to begin with? That's a whole conversation.
Why is the Netflix a January 1st deal? Why is it not an October 1st deal?
I'm wondering because look, TV rights are one thing. Netflix probably cares more about fiscal years versus because they're not. Yeah. So I figured, okay, maybe that's it. They're not worried about, like, it's the new show episode, the new show season, in October. Maybe that's it. So, but they kind of insinuated like they're really trying to work out something with existing partners. And this is where I said, look, this was going to be a quick topic, and here we are rolling, right? The question that I had was, why would USA not do this at this point?
Yeah, they're already going to be taking SmackDown.
Right. That's why I'm thinking, I'm like, if you're trying to, why in one fell swoop would you drop your Monday show and start a Friday show because here's the thing, I'm wondering if you could get a brother rate, as you like to point out, or could they get the cheap deal just because it's a patchwork deal, right? That's all. It's just a patchwork deal for them. But then you could keep your Monday for 3 months while you are now airing the Friday show, if it's going to be, we're assuming it's going to be Friday, and you can promote the hell and teach, like, while they're both on, to get people to, like, get a habit built of that in that 3 month window.
Crossover stuff. Hey, look, we'll work out a deal where some of the SmackDown guys come on over to Raw and do some stuff. And we just promote the shows, and we do all kind of wrestling stuff.
So here's my take. This is going to be a hot take by Nick that says in 9 months, somebody's going to get to come out and say, Nick, you were an idiot and you were totally wrong. I'm convinced the brand split just implodes when the Netflix thing, because I just don't think Netflix is going to give a shit. Like, they're not going to be into the, like, we need, you know what I mean? I just don't think they care.
Well, it's going to be a weird thing because there's a barrier between TV and streaming now. So is it going to be like a premium for streaming, or regular people?
As a talent, would you want to be brand exclusive to Netflix? Or would you rather be brand exclusive to USA? It's a hard question to ask.
These are things nobody knows the answer to yet. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know the answer. I don't know how to answer that question.
So I just say just bleed the two shows together, and who gives a shit? Then you got 5 hours of programming that you can have all of your talents floating all over.
And it may be one of those things where you're going to have trouble convincing TV to Netflix and Netflix to TV, because you've got people who don't have TV.
Yeah.
That have Netflix, and people who have Netflix that don't have TV. So if you're trying to cross promote,
see, here's the thing, Myron. This is where I was going to ask you. I didn't think about it. So I do every Black Friday, by the way. This happens every year. Hulu does a thing with ads. For 99 cents, you can get Hulu for 12 months. You just have to take advantage of it. I tell people all the year, like, well, I already have it, and I'm stuck through my thing and through December or January. I don't give a shit. Go ahead and buy the Black Friday deal with a different email, and then you'll have it for 99 cents for the rest of the year, and then you're on cycle.
Yeah, you go in and you snipe these deals and you pay attention, and you always save money. And me, I'm just like,
so here's my thought process.
I'm already signed up.
Hold on. If you're a streamer and you don't want cable, and you're like, I don't want USA because I don't want cable and blah, blah, blah. Raw and SmackDown are both on Hulu the next day. And it's a condensed version with the, blah, blah, blah. That's how I watch it now, by the way. If I'm not watching it live, I just usually catch the Hulu version the next day. So point being is, if you were just a streamer, you can get away cheaper than if you're a cable person and you got to add Netflix. But if you're a streamer, you can go, I can add Hulu. Because, by the way, this doesn't start until October. We're talking like 2 months. And Black Friday is going to be like 2 months later. You'll be able to sign up for that Hulu for 99 cents and get Raw. Anyway, all of that point being, I just think USA has they have an advantage to be able to say, look, for 3 months, we can program people to understand we have this on Friday. January 1st, this is going away. So get into the habit of watching the Friday show. Now, I don't know if they give them some kind of a deal, whatever, but that's something to keep in mind. I'd love to know what people think. tappedoutpod@gmail.com. If you were USA, would you sign that deal, or do you? I mean, because where else? I mean, or do they put it? Because I would hate for them to go, it's going on Peacock for 3 months and then it's going to Netflix. Like, I would rather it stay. If I were WWE, I would want it to stay where it's at until it makes its really, I don't want to say permanent move, but you know what I mean, that 5-year move.
Yeah. Wow.
So, anyway. But look, man, let's keep it rolling. Let's get into Elimination Chamber.
Nice.
Lots of stuff positive to say. Well, first and foremost, 5 a.m., I was not up watching this.
My sleep patterns have not been right because of this whole thing. Somehow I got messed up. I started watching the show at like 9 o'clock in the morning. And then I watched the show, and before long, I'd already been sick. I got the doctor by Monday. I got a steroid shot. I haven't slept right. I'm still adjusting back from the international show. All I know is I tuned in. There's 53,000 people in this arena. This giant effing arena, stacked full of people who are happy to have it be in a wrestling show.
The funniest thing going around on the internet was the people that had the picture of the crowd, and they're like, look at all the empty seats and all the empty I don't ever want to hear people picking on AEW again or whatever. And I'm like, because even I will say this, because I watched it at like 10:30 maybe 11 maybe, something like that, when I literally got up and went grocery shopping, blah blah blah, came back, and it was like, all right, now I'll watch it because I'm going to be sitting here for a while some laundry's running or whatever. But I sat there, and my wife looked, and she goes, it's a lot of empty space. And I went, there's 53,000 people there almost. And she went, all right, enough said. Like, it's like, yeah, I'm like, it's in a soccer stadium that probably holds, and I don't know what it holds. It probably holds 70,000. I don't know. But
I mean, they don't normally have people sitting on the grass. I mean, that's a soccer stadium.
Yeah. But they had like blocked out sections because of this and that, and this, the backdrops and all that kind of stuff. They had production kills and that kind of stuff. But look, it was a big crowd. I want to ask you a question. Do stadium shows during the day hurt your vibe from the show? Because they do mine.
No. I really think it's cool to see them start during the day and then wind up at night. That's a beautiful aesthetic to me. It's awesome to see it start like that. I love it.
I prefer it be at least it's at dusk, if that makes any sense. Like, I already like dark. Because here's the best example. We're going to discuss it, by the way. It's going to segue later into a topic. One of the famous entrance, like Sting's WrestleMania moment, happened in California during the frickin' day. Sting's dark, brooding, crow-like gimmick, and he came out and it was still daylight. That just completely, that's what I mean by like, I just think that I love the nighttime in the stadium feel. So my argument was like, hell, you could have started it an hour later. I mean, why not?
I don't know. I liked it. I really liked it. And let's not forget, they were outside and they lowered and raised that chamber twice.
Hmm.
Okay. Outside. That was pretty impressive, if you ask me. That was really impressive to bring all that down, drop it, lower it. I mean, they could have they could have finished with that chamber match, but no, they finished with a hometown girls match.
Yeah.
Uh, did a big deal.
Right
That was
call?
pretty awesome.
I think so.
I do. Yeah, it was a totally
Yeah.
right call.
Yeah.
And Rhea did not disappoint.
Nor did Nia.
No.
How about that? Did you think I was going to come with that?
No.
Is that
I mean,
is that her best match?
by far. By
Definitely best pay-per-view. Because, there's she might have had a match on TV that I didn't see, blah, 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 that was better. But I think that definitely, hands down, that was her best pay-per-view match.
They put a lot of trust in her because she's not been traditionally their best deliverer, even though I'm one of the hugest Nia Jax fans anywhere. Her gear was spot on. She looked terrific. She performed terrific. I don't think it could have worked out better for her. And Rhea is just.
Is that the beginning of her face turn, by the way? That's almost a rhetorical because I think it is. But
yeah, it's
yeah.
clicking. It's clicking.
Yeah.
The whole Judgment Day thing is clicking. I don't know where all that's going. We're going to get to that probably in somewhere else. But holy shit, I can't think of a weak spot anywhere in that pay-per-view. Was it the best pay-per-view I've ever seen? No. Was it exactly what they wanted to do in Australia and give them what they? Yes.
I think going forward, we to come up with our own type of scoring system, I say we go baseball just because, and I'll explain why. Was it a home run pay-per-view? No. But was it a double or a triple? Yeah, I could make that argument.
It was easily a double with two men on.
Yeah, I mean, look, they had to get where they had to get, right? Like they successfully achieved that. I love when they do the shorter, the quicker pacing. It's there. I didn't think there was let's go ahead and talk about it. The Grayson Waller effect. That's the part where it slowed a little bit, but I was like, okay, I was still entertained. Could it have been shorter? Yes, I probably would say yes. And the funny thing is, I didn't know that we needed it because I honestly, I made the prediction last week. I predicted that Roman and Rock were going to be involved somehow. So this is the question I told you I was going to blindside you with in the middle of the show. And it's not it's not a hard question. It's just, I just didn't want you to see it coming. Were you disappointed that Rock and Roman weren't there? I honestly thought they would be there.
I was surprised. I was not stunned. I thought there would be some form of appearance. Apparently, from the word that got out, all of the Roman Reigns stuff, merchandise, almost sold out almost instantaneously when it got there, which is pretty impressive considering he's a heel.
My reasoning, and I want to ask you, this is specifically why. I just felt like, and I could be completely off base. Tappedoutpod@gmail.com. If I'm off base, let me know. You did an international pay-per-view. God only knows when you're going back. I can borderline forgive The Rock, but you didn't even give him Roman? You said they sold out of that merch like that. I'm like, look, by the way, I understand. And I when I say I'm being borderline facetious, but you see what I'm saying? I'm like, don't you kind of feel like, but am I? Right.
But are you?
I'm like, but am I? That is a very solid question. I don't know that I am. I've honestly felt like they were going to look. Here's the thing. That to me was the difference of being a home run versus what it was as a double. If they're there and we get something out of it, I think possibly then you're in the home run territory.
Did they need to?
I didn't say they needed to. There's a big difference.
The thing is,
because if you needed to and you didn't do it, then it's not even a single.
If I was an Australian, and if I could tell you what an Australian thought, it'd be different. But I can't.
Yeah.
because they seemed all really happy with it. They were
Oh
all
yeah,
happy with Rhea. Did they need Ronda? I don't know the answer to it. We're looking at it as an American WB fan. What we
So
wanted out of it.
here's why I felt like you. I don't know that you didn't need it, because if you had needed it and you didn't deliver, then it's not even, is it a single, or is it a strikeout at that point? You know, Cody made some reference of the conversation that he had with Rock, and then it went nowhere. Like it's like they went, and he took a hard right, and he just went down a different path. Which leads me to believe there's still something to the story. I'm still convinced it was a conspiracy between Cody and Rock to pull all this off. Because if Rock's there and there is a confrontation, doesn't Rock have to help Roman? So we just keep them apart so we don't put Rock in a situation where he has to get physical with Cody and with Seth. So maybe that I'm overthinking it, but that's the gist. Before we move on, because we got to keep rolling here. Two questions I wanted to ask.
What was your favorite part?
I honestly probably think the women's chamber. That was
a very solid match. Tiffany Stratton, blew it out of the water. I knew when they brought Becky Lynch down to NXT, and I saw Tiffany Stratton it wasn't that familiar with Tiffany Stratton until I saw her and Becky Lynch have that match in NXT. And I was like, holy shit, she's good.
Pause. I'm going to ask you something. People that shit on guys going, look, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows are back down there. They're fighting some guys, right? Remember when we talk about, like, what's the advantage of a Becky Lynch going to NXT and having a match with Tiffany Stratton? You got main roster fans who don't normally watch NXT, watch this match, and then guess what they did? Holy shit, this Tiffany Stratton girl's pretty good.
Bam.
But got enough momentum, by the way. Whoop, they shoot her to the main roster, and all these tens of thousands of Australians are chanting "Tiffy time, Tiffy time," we want Tiffy. Like, there's your freaking perk of having main roster people go down to NXT, is it gets somebody some eyeballs on them and go,
rub. Like, I missed NXT last night. I'm going to watch it once we're done with this. That's my plan. It's to finish recording and the one that's NXT. Oh, I heard about the 10.
Yeah.
I heard about the 10.
Yep, he's back. Here's the thing, by the way. I saw somebody like shitting on, like, WWE fans, got all excited about, AEW washout Shawn Spears coming back to NXT. And I'm like, look, for one, he's a buddy of Cody's. Two, we never said he wasn't any good at all. And look, it is NXT. It's not like he attacked Roman Reigns on SmackDown or anything. So, but anyway.
But I tell you my favorite part. My favorite part was Logan drawing on the chamber with his marker.
Yeah.
That guy is good.
Yeah.
Okay. That guy is the biggest drop-in automatic success. Love him.
Yeah. And look, clearly at the end of Drew gets the win because the brass knucks come involved.
Where the hell did AJ Styles come from?
He snuck in there when the door was open.
There was so much going on in that match. Yeah. I don't know how much WrestleMania got set up, Nick. And WrestleMania getting set up and the road to Mania, holy crap. Are you following it at all? Because I'm not sure, especially after Raw.
Look, I think after Raw, there's a couple notes we have here. Clearly, we're getting Logan Paul versus Randy Orton. It looks like we're getting AJ Styles and LA Knight. By the way, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Has LA Knight's momentum been completely braked? Like, have they slammed the brakes? And what I mean by that is, I didn't even think his reaction that he got at Chamber was as hot as it was. Did they miss their window with LA Knight, or was it, look, I'm asking, this is not my opinion, or was it a flash in the pan type moment where he got hot for a second and that moment's already passed? It was just like, hey, we love him for 6 months and we've moved on. The Gunther looks like, we thought it was going to be Damian Priest, but then it looked like Big Dom stepping up and going to challenge, but then Sammy's in the mix. If we get Logan Paul and Randy Orton for the U.S. title, hypothetically, Do they go multi-man on the IC title?
I don't know, man. This is what I'm actually really, really interested in, how this is going to develop.
Can you imagine the heat if 1-on-1 Dominic Mysterio was the one who ended Gunther's reign? Because now look, I get it. Damian, the Judgment Day gets involved and it's a total chaotic mess. But if Dominic Mysterio ended Gunther's record reign, you think the boos are hot now? Ugh, it'll be epic.
And we got Chad Gable, and we still got the tag team titles on the Judgment Day, and we got the briefcase, the Intercontinental title.
It looks like we're gonna get
Rhea looking like a baby,
and she's got to fight Becky. So it's Rhea and we know Bayley and Io for that title is coming. We think, and here's the problem: we know Drew and Seth are going to wrestle. We know Cody and Roman are going to wrestle, but there's the rumor that Seth and Cody are going to wrestle Roman and Rock night one. So we got all these pieces still to go. It is crazy in my opinion. It is crazy to me that we are this close to Mania, and there's still that many unknown matches. In my opinion, typically we would know more. In my opinion.
Well, down 38, 37 days now.
Something like that. Yeah. Depending on what day you're listening.
So I'm so happy.
It's pretty crazy that it's that far along, and we're still.
And this show drops on leap year.
Yep. Good question.
Yep. This show will drop on the 29th of February. And isn't that scary? I don't know if that's ever happened before. You know what's really scary?
Lots of scary things. And you know who's really good about letting you know those?
Who?
William over at William's Scary Things. Are you a fan of the strange, mysterious, and unusual? Do you enjoy stories told firsthand about creepy experiences? UFO encounters, ghostly apparitions, near-death and afterlife experiences, even parallel universes? Well, if so, you need to check out the YouTube channel William Scary Things. It is a new, albeit determined channel. William was influenced as a kid by books, movies, stories, all that were passed down by his friends and family, and they all had a creepy theme. What started out as a scary story narration is now a long-form interview process with people who have experienced weird and unusual things firsthand. Do you want to hear about a house with the former owners that were laid to rest right in the front yard? Yeah, told by yours truly. Well, if so, William Scary Things has you covered. How about a witness to the Phoenix Lights, probably the most renowned UFO sighting in modern history? Maybe you want to hear about a first-hand encounter with a ghostly apparition late one night with a photo to boot. No problem, William's got you covered there too. Were you a fan of the Scary Stories to Tell and Dark Book series as a kid? Want to learn more about the Solway Firth Spaceman? Well, if so, it's all right there. So head on over to William Scary Things and check out his latest episodes and give him a like, subscribe to the channel, heck, leave a comment. Trust me, there's nothing to be scared of. That's right, man. Check out William Scary Things over on YouTube if you're into that paranormal, the ghostly apparitions, all that kind of crazy stuff. Absolutely check him out. Look, like, subscribe, turn your notifications on, all that good stuff, and even comment every now and then. I always like to tell people, but
nice fellow.
Nice, love William.
Scary as hell though.
Oh yeah.
Give it. Hey, I'm trying to stay away from it so I can try to get some sleep because that stuff keeps me from sleeping. You know I don't like ghosts.
Look, speaking of scary things and a little bit of the spooky and the creepy, it segues a little really bumpy, but into Sting. Sting, the old crow gimmick and all that good stuff back in the day. Look, we're finally here. This weekend, Sting's last match finally here in Greensboro. This past, again, remember, we record on Wednesdays prior to Dynamite, so we're discussing, anytime we say on Dynamite, we're talking about the one prior. We found out that it's going to be a tornado tag match for the AEW tag team titles. Darby Allin and Sting versus the Young Bucks. Yes, they are still the Young Bucks, apparently. quick impressions before we go into the ring? We talk about a little more because there's some layers that were added in these past weeks, and I'm curious as to what you think on those two.
Layers of flares. Can I get a clarification? Where's where we flare? I mean, I watch it. I lost some flair the other night. I'm not quite sure. So give me some extra on this.
Well, look, the scary thing is that we don't really know, right? He knocked on the Young Bucks door, but we didn't get to see the actual conversation. So what's going on with Flair? We felt like it was a bumpy road, right? Like we didn't really understand what was going on. Like why wasn't Flair there? Like, hey, this Flair left out in the cold, and is he going to be bitter now because he feels like he got disrespected by Sting, and so he's going to go with the Bucks? By the way, I think we kind of poo-pooed Darby's promo, where was Sting, that whole thing a couple weeks ago. And then, of course, last week on Dynamite, we find out why Sting wasn't there, and I feel like a total ass. Sting's dad's sick and passes away. And that's why he's not there, right? So then it's like, oh, well, it is what it is. And, like I said, so it's, sometimes we have to listen to our own words when we say let things play out and don't judge it for the one moment that it happens, because it made no sense why Sting wasn't there, and we're beating up this whole segment of like, dude, this made no sense, blah blah blah. Well, clearly there was a reason Sting's not there. So now anyway. So sometimes we have to eat, like I said, and live by our own words of let things play out and figure out what's going on. By the way, I want to ask your takes. What did you see the Sting promo with him and Darby, and where they actually, Sting got real and discussed his father passing away, and like how it was, I'm like, really good emotional promo, probably one of Sting's best ever in my opinion.
Yeah, you got to cut down into some personal feelings to be able to get a promo that deep, in my opinion, and I think Sting did a good job. It's kind of what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to mean. It's very, very touching and emotional to hear stuff like that, and
Okay.
maybe a little too close. Maybe a little too close to the bone. Sting was more of a part of your childhood than mine because I didn't get a lot of that programming, wrestling programming when I was a kid. But I did get to watch a lot of his stuff as I got older when I got access to more content. I'm interested to see. This is another one of our heroes that's going away, and so many of them did it badly. I hope he can go away on his own shield.
Let me ask you, because it was funny. Jeff Jarrett brought up on his podcast this week. Is this the best? Like, you don't want to call it like the goodbye tour, right? But I mean, essentially, he's had a 2-year goodbye tour, undefeated. Him and Dart, like, he's undefeated in AEW. He gets his first title shot in a tag title match. He wins the gold, and he's going out like he picked his opponent, and they've sold 16,000 tickets on the back of Sting's last match being this. Look, they've announced all these other matches, and guess what I told somebody? Doesn't matter. That, like, anybody who claims they're watching this pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Look, I'm considering, like, I think it's going to be like, okay, how does the weekend play out this weekend? I'm considering buying this pay-per-view, like, live and sitting there and watching it. Not after the fact, but literally live and sitting there and watching it. Why? I don't care about 90% of the undercard. I want to see Sting's last match.
Yeah. I mean, we watched Flair's last match, and that was a god-awful experience. I think Sting can probably do a better job, or they'll at least, Sting's ego won't get in the way of them doing a better job. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They'll handle it better.
I just think that, look, and if all of the things, and by the way, this is the reason I brought this section up, for all of the things we want to talk about that AEW's done wrong, handling Sting for the last 2 years is not one of them.
I agree 100%. Maybe there's a watch along in this.
So. Tom, we'll have to see. Here's the thing I wanted to ask you: predictions. Does Sting go out as tag team champions, or does he do the time honored tradition? Do they lose and drop the belts to the Bucks on the way out? Answer that one first, and then I got a part 2 to that one.
He does. They drop the belts.
I don't think they do. I'm going out that Sting never loses a match in AEW. And he goes out as tag champions, and then because Tony, he'll do a tournament to crown champions. Because here's my thing: does losing to the Bucks even matter? Or like, do the Bucks gain anything by beating Sting and Darby Allin either? That's my problem. Like, I don't think anybody gains anything by a win or a loss. So I say just fuck it. Let Sting go out as the tag team champions. Let him, and the way you do it, don't even tell him. Tell him like there's a whole other ending, and then like have Darby take the pin or something like that. Or have the Bucks take the pin with Darby in the ring or something. You know what I mean? Like, then he's like, wait, what the fuck happened? But anyway, that would be funny. But then 2, the next week, they're here in Duluth, Georgia, which is like
Georgia.
20,
right up the road
20,
from
25, yeah. So contemplating going. I know there's going to be a lot of people there. I can't do Thursday night, but I'm thinking of maybe Dynamite night on Wednesday.
I mean, I looked at tickets; they're not expensive.
No, I have a work thing on Thursday night, so I can't.
I don't. So if somebody wants to comp me some tickets, I'd love that. Since
yeah,
they that's why I was wearing this shirt, so I can
show you're hoping
tickets. Since
they
I'm an influencer.
Yeah. So Sting is Sting there, or did we think the last moment we ever see Sting is on that pay-per-view? Like, I'm like, he's an Atlanta guy. He has to show up at the Atlanta show, right?
Maybe in the crowd. I mean, maybe to say goodbye, but
he's up in the rafters saying goodbye with a big thing on his shoulder, a little vulture on his shoulder or something. Anyway, I don't know. We'll see. But I think
your childhood is writing this, Nick.
I can
see your childhood coming out right now.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it totally.
You're way too happy.
Yeah, look, here I am writing. But speaking of writing, I do want to talk about, like, there was a hire this week.
Oh.
And this one, by the way, we talked about it could be the biggest and the best hire they've done yet. And it's, by the way, my logic of why I think it is, it's completely not the reason everybody else thinks it is.
I looked at this Jennifer Pepperman is who we're talking about, folks. Last night, after Nick caught me on this one, I had not seen it. Nick sent it to me. So I was doing my research, and so I went through this woman's IMDb and pulled her credentials as a writer. This woman's starting out writing and working and directing, producing soap operas. And if many of you know the secret, wrestling is soap operas for men. So she had experience working in soap operas. Did that for a long time. Then was hired by WWE and worked for them for a good bit of time. Let's see if I got the time bet here. Lots of experience in this business. Very successful in the soap opera and the WWE business.
Official title
for AEW.
She's the vice president of content development. So
that's a big title.
It is a big title. So everybody thinks like, oh, you think she's going to be the greatest writer on the planet, and that's why I said I didn't say that. Why do I think it's one of the biggest and the best? I think it's two things. One, I think it's a full hidden admission that Tony Khan understands that he has like an issue. Like, it's like, okay, I got to have somebody in here who, like, because here's the thing people talk about. She would stand up to Vince McMahon, and that's not an easy thing to do. When they were in that position, a lot of people just folded and were like, yeah, okay, yeah. But that if she believed something, she would stand up to him and like voice her opinion and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, look, that's a huge trait to have. Two, it's not just that he's admitting that potentially that he has a storytelling problem. but he can use her as a tool to get better at that. Because, by the way, someday she will leave there as well. I'm not saying if it's 5 years, 20 years, who knows? Time will come when she's not there, and he has to learn, and that's a good person to learn from.
Well, he needs somebody that's going to stand up to him. What's the word I'm looking for? She's in the wrestling business, but he needs someone that's not a wrestler, basically, in my opinion. He needs a creative writer, someone who's worked in other businesses, someone who can deal with wrestling people, but knows how to deal with wrestling people too. I think he surrounded himself by wrestlers and wrestling fans and wrestling people. I think he could benefit with someone outside of the wrestling business that will stand up to him, who's creative and can handle businesses. And if he brought her in just to write primarily for Mercedes Moné, that's a plus.
Well, I think that's going to be so. Like we were talking about it, like our analogy was Brian Gewirtz was a writer for WWE, but he alone wrote for The Rock at the end.
Yeah.
Like The Rock was his guy. I think that's like, look, she's going to be the VP of content development, but her alone will handle the writing for Mercedes Moné because apparently they had a friendship relationship, back in WWE. So they're like, they have a friendship there. So like, hey, this is her go-to, blah, blah, blah. So I think that's kind of the other perk that you're gaining out of it is maybe because your biggest concern, we brought up Mercedes Moné, was, are they going to drop the ball with her? Are they going to handle her incorrectly?
Yeah, Tony Khan does not strike me as the kind of person who has an inherent rapport with women, if you get what I'm trying to say.
Well, no, I think it's the storytelling part that I think was the weakness. Yeah. And now you've got somebody that has a friendship, who understands her, what makes her tick, and then also, by the way, clearly had probably done some of the writing for her in the past. So there's some knowledge there. So it's not from scratch. So I'm thinking, by the way, now my opinion on how they handle Mercedes Moné, totally different. And if I was a betting man, Myron, I would think it's going to be a hit.
I would put my money on this too.
Yeah. Now, I wish you could lay money on more wrestling stuff over on our friends at Prize Picks.
Yes.
You still working on this?
It's 2 minutes to kickoff. Who do I pick?
2 words, Prize Picks. It's so easy.
Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy. It's just you against the numbers. Simply pick the over-under on 2 or more players, and that's it. You can win up to 10 times your money in just one day. Join over 150,000 people who found a better way to play. Download the Prize Picks app today and get your first deposit match up to $100.
That's right, man. Check out our friends over at Prize Picks. Look, in the show notes, there is the promo code there. They can help you with the match and all that good stuff. Check them out. Prize Picks. Use the app, use the website, and it's literally simple prop betting. Over-unders makes it super easy. You're not having to cover spreads and all that kind of crazy stuff. So check them out. PrizePicks.com.
Oh, good people. Good people.
So, rarely do we love to – there's a whole section, Myron, in the notes about TNA. How crazy is that?
Man. I'm a closet TNA YouTube subscriber. I love being able to get all my TNA pay-per-views, which I guess they're technically still pay-per-views since I pay for them.
You're still paying for them, yeah.
They're premium live events. I mean, they're paid through my YouTube. I pay $9 a month or $10 a month.
Yeah.
I'm a big YouTube person, which makes me so happy that you're going to be watching this on YouTube also. But I get to see them.
Yeah.
They put the show together. Before watching the show, I went to watch it, and I found a video put together by the Locker Room in support of the recent changes. Okay, all the what's the word I'm looking for?
The management restructuring.
Management and restructuring. I'm trying to let me find my note here to make sure I make the names right. I'm sorry, because you know me, I can take these right.
while you're digging, let me ask you this. So you keep looking.
Uh-huh.
So during this week, speaking of the management restructure, the word comes out that Scott D'Amore actually tried to buy this, offered him a roughly $10 million and going to take on all the debts.
That was
value,
a big deal.
That was a big
liabilities.
Big deal. What do they see in the value that they didn't sell? They clearly have to have something. The only thing I can think of, was there a lock-in, like they had to keep him on TV, on Access? Was he buying the time slot too, or like what? That I think that could the only thing that I could think of be the hang-up of, unless they just see a higher value. Because by the way, completely off the subject. Did you see the rumor that was? Look, I don't know if this is true or not. There's a couple. I should reach out to BQ. He would know this probably more than anybody. Rumors that they may go to Full Sail and start like filming and do a streaming thing out of Full Sail to get their costs down. They could, and do basically pull what the NXT thing was doing there for the longest time. How wild would that be that if they just followed suit and pulled the NXT route and went to Full Sail and recorded out of there?
Well, what I will tell you is, if $10 million in all liability is not enough money, they have plans.
Correct.
Okay. And I doubt the Access TV deal is substantial enough that it would prevent them from taking the $10 million and all of that. D'Amore, we found out, is wealthy outside of the wrestling business due to his family businesses. Our research had come across that, and was very popular. He had gone back through and put in a lot of the older talent and a lot of the old, which we saw some of the stuff on the pay-per-view. We will talk about that later. But it was Josh Alexander that came out and gave a speech on behalf of the locker room prior to the show. It was on YouTube. It was not on the official show, about TNA will be there. TNA will continue to endure and will stick around. And I think this was very important. I was questioning why, they just exercised their option on him without even giving him a say on it. But I really, in retrospect, think that had they not exercised their option on his contract, they might have put themselves in a lot bigger damage. They may have saved their company, the morale of the locker room and everything else, by keeping this man on.
We discussed that a little bit last week about how, it's like, the question wasn't, was it the right move to keep him? It was like, is it a what message does it send to the locker room and the contracts going forward? Yeah, 100%. But look, we had heard some rumors that it's like, look, the indie talents weren't happy that D'Amore was pushing bigger names, and and look, we joked about it that the women's tag team titles switched back. Like, was that the beginning of like, hey, this is what we want, not what he wants? The only reason, look, Moose was a Scott D'Amore guy. We all have read and seen that, obviously. The question being,
that match was nuts, man.
Yeah.
That match was nuts.
Because I think, are you smart enough to realize that even if you're like, yeah, we took it off of a guy, we put it on Moose, like Moose is still the guy to have the title right now.
Well, right now, yes, you're in a very big transitional period. The women's tag titles is an easy one. Okay, folks. Decay, that's your old talent. That's your women's talent's been with Impact forever.
Mm-hmm.
TNA Impact. The what, MK Ultra, Slamovich, and
Kelly,
newer talent, more popular indie style talent.
But hey, Myron, I'll push back on this theory that like the new regime is more like indie and younger talent, and Scott D'Amore was the guy pushing the older and the bigger names. Well, they put the freaking one of their titles on Mustafa Ali, who's a WWE guy, former WWE guy at that point. So they clearly see the value in doing it as well. You know what I mean?
Maybe we're reading way too much in it, and this is booking decisions. But I think they made decisions that they saw were better for the company, that they thought were the best decisions for the company.
100%. So
Jordan Grace, every time I see her, I wonder how she has not been picked up bigger, especially after her Royal Rumble debut, man. Holy shit. She's a killer.
Super talent.
Just
Yeah,
absolute killer.
I'm happy that she's still there, still champion. I think she's a great face of for the promotion. But hey, we're going to talk a little indie wrestling. But before we do, we want to remind you, man, make sure you're checking us out over on YouTube. Subscribe, like the page, subscribe, turn your notifications on, all that good stuff. YouTube.com. The handle there is @TappedOutPod. That way you get the bonus stuff like the Terry Lawler Chip Day match from Disruptor this week. That one dropped there again on Wednesday. More stuff coming on. Don't forget, we've got the double hit this week with Tapped In. We're going to talk a little indie wrestling and, of course, the main show here that we're recording now. But we also understand, look, some people just can't handle all that sexiness and they got to go straight to the audio. Apple Podcast, iHeartMedia, Spotify, Amazon Podcast, pretty much anywhere and everywhere there is a podcast platform. And by the way, I'm trying to get into the habit of those links. I'm sending those out every week so you can find them a little bit easier. But make sure you go ahead and subscribe on anywhere that you prefer your audio podcast. That would be awesome and make it a whole lot easier to get those every week. If you subscribed, it just drops every week when it comes out, and even bonus stuff that we might drop in there. So you'll never know. But look, let's get into this weekend's talk, man.
Yeah, man. More shows again than we can get to.
Yeah, you brought it up, man. Friday is SCA up in Royston. I know I can't make that one for sure.
Yeah. It's one of those times, man. I can pick. Kids are gone. Spend time with a wife alone, or go to a wrestling show, and then go to a wrestling show the other night. It's like,
yeah, you got to be. It's
because I'm going to be gone the other 2 nights already, so it's like, 3 nights in a row.
It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm tired and I'm sick, so it's all going to depend on how I'm feeling.
But yeah, SCA is on Friday. I know they've invited us to come up. Saturday night is Southern Fried. Big steel cage match between Billy Buck and Will Caution.
Yeah,
I believe that is for the Classics Championship. That's not in my notes, but it should be. But look, all of the usual suspects will be there. Xavier Reyes, Adrian Hawkins, they go one-on-one. CT Keys versus Nick Halen, Hunter James versus Matt Sells, Jacob Ashworth versus Grappler 2, Marcus Cross and Nazishism versus Bobby Moore. And here's the funny thing is, I know it's Rob Adonis. Every time I see it, I almost say Adrian Adonis, but it's Rob Adonis. And, of course, there's an interview with Crystal Rose. All there, 405 Community Court in Monroe, Georgia. I do believe that's the show I know I will get to make this week because I missed the last one because of the Disruptor show, so I'm going to make a point to get.
Yeah, I've got to catch up on the YouTube. That's my plan before the Saturday show is to catch the YouTube of the last show. Adam Vance does such a good job getting that stuff out there. Thank you, Adam, and thank you everybody at Southern Fried for being so good to us.
Yeah, but we'll definitely see that show. So if you're in the area, Monroe,
this show is going to come out the day after, but the day we're recording is the birthday of Charles Anschutz, the guy who started Southern Fried Wrestling. The guy who always was so kind to us when we first started coming out to Southern Fried. That was our first independent promotion. Charles passed away not long after, and he had already sold the promotion to David Manders, someone who is a friend of mine. But Charles was special. And thank you, Charles, for all you did for us.
Agreed.
But Southern Fried's always been special to me.
Oh, yeah. Southern Fried is very much a home to the podcast for sure. So check them out. Monroe, Saturday, 405 Community Court right there in Monroe, Georgia. UWF on Sunday is another big show because I'm throwing up question marks and air quotes because it's their last show. That's what we're being told, and I take it for their word that it's true. Yeah. So
big
last
card.
show.
Big card.
There's going to be a whole segment, by the way. If you're a fan of UWF, Tapped In this week. I know there's because I put it in the show notes. There's a whole conversation about the depth that I want to go in more in depth in UWF and them leaving and that kind of stuff. So make sure if you are, a listener, make sure you check out that show because we are going to specifically address.
A little show to get up to.
So yeah.
And
absolutely.
then Southern States Pro will be running Thursday night, the night the show comes out, the 29th in Atlanta. That's all. That would be fun to see.
Dude, spectacular show. I know Bryce Cannon's getting his rematch, or like I'd say rematch, but he's getting another shot at that championship against Martin Stone. And by the way, shameless plug. I know there's a whole topic on Bryce Cannon that's going to be on the Tapped In show this week.
That kid is
that we're going to dive in it. Yeah, 100%. So lots of stuff this week on Indie Wrestling. So if you're going to find us, Friday night's probably going to be, date night with the wife. Saturday, Southern Fried. UWF on Sundays. Question marks for me at this point. It's can I get all my chores done before I have to leave? So what time will tell. Anything else you got before we get out of here, brother? Or
no, just trying to be influential. That's all. You know me.
Yeah, but what's the old saying, brother? Then if I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.